these two on the same page working together, and the interesting we've learned from studying the performance for the last years is it doesn't matter if you're calm. What most matters is that you're in balance. And even if your heart's pounding out of your chest, and we've created that in the lab, it was a lot of fun. If you get that performance and you can create things in that condition, you wouldn't in even just a normal practice condition.
So when you talk about balance, a lot, I'm not a professional athlete or I'm not a college golfer. A lot of our audience are business performers, right? They're people that are in sales. So I'm sitting in somebody's living room and they're considering whether they're going to list my house. What would be an example of being out of balance that somebody might? And then what are some suggestions? What are some things that you teach folks to try and get back in balance so that you can perform your best?
The real question, it didn't matter what it was. When they're out of balance and it hurts, they're typically too much on the left side of our area of our brain. And so it's too much stuff going for you into performance, so that when you move it, we usually see as your intuition, like you can think on your feet, and if they ask you a question, up with the answer. But if you think you got and go through your checklist of all the things to find the answer, it's not going to work well. So how do we help you get over there? We can help you get balanced. The crazy thing, you can just stand on one foot, Chris. Like if you're waiting to go in to speak, or if you stand on your non-dominant foot, and if you close your eyes, easy one. And then the other thing, just if you focus on your breathing, or you take in information, the colors in the room, or the air outside and the wind, it's information instead, it will automatically move you to the right.
That's interesting. So in general, you hear about this left brain, right brain stuff. And to meeting you for the first time and reading about it is the analytical side, as simple as that. But what as I'm a human, struggle with is, well, is the analytical, is the creative side what's getting in the way? Why am I nervous? What is it that's causing me to not perform? And I'd like to hear about from you, and what I want the audience to know is how powerful the subconscious is, and how little, I call it the monkey brain, is really performing, not even aware of. And so it's the daily practice and coaching.
Let them go run down the court. That's the coach's. Coach is not allowed to step on that court. And then your team, which is your subconscious, access to 95% of your brain power, access to 5%. And so the coach runs the show. The team only does what it's told to do by the coach, the best it can today. But the coach is the control center. You set it up and you get it ready, and you must let your team into that meeting, and you interact. You present, and you connect with everybody, and it's a style, and that's what's going on. And your team must always work together. If they're on opposite sides, it doesn't work.
For sure, powerful. I mean, the team controls 95%, and the coach just that little I read one time, and I think in Arizona when I was there, but I had learned that as the rider, which is like your rational piece, and then the elephant is this. You got this little bitty man that's got to control this big emotional being. Powerful. And on a daily basis, you know, this is where things like, do you believe in affirmation?
Very much so. So affirmations, what you're doing, you're the gatekeeper of what goes into that conscious, and then in turn feeds to the subconscious. You got to be very conscientious. You only get, let everything in. You got to, you're continually putting something in there that's leading and guiding your team where you're going. And, you know, incorporate, not, you know, 5 years from now. Affirmations, they just keep reinforcing, because you're always coaching your team in terms of where we're going.
You know, because I just love that. And as a follow-up, people on affirmations, the importance of goals and being able to talk to yourself and how important that is, because nobody else is going to believe. And if you're then only negative things are going to happen, whether it's on the golf course, in the boardroom, at a listing presentation, at any. Ridiculous. If you're not a fan of you, anybody else to be a fan of you. But when you just hear people talk about them, you'll see all these debates on how you're supposed to. Present tense, past tense, future. People get caught up on, they won't even do affirmations because they don't know how to write them. So if I was going to say, I am the best speaker in this space, success. Should I change the tense to it's already happened? Should I change it to I will be? Do you have any suggestions for people on that?
That's a really good point, because I mean, the more, to me, you can bring it into your being right now. We have a line, is to bring your richly imagined future, whatever it is you're after. And what I always am encouraging the athletes to do is gap. And when I listen to their language, they're making the gap bigger. Oh, those guys are better. Them. Oh no, this is. They continue bigger and bigger, and in turn, what we want to do, you know, and you want to shoot. Okay, I want to shoot in the 70s. Great. What am I going to do on this shot to hit my 70s? So you're closing the gap. You're bringing it this moment in time, and you'll get there so much faster.
I think that's so. I love the way that you put that. And so the present tense happening now. Yeah, this idea, because if you're always talking, I'm going to do this. You're almost telling yourself you're not this yet. It's happened. I talk all the time, and you do such a great job of helping people identify what they're naturally at, so they can understand that formula to better their best performance. So how much of is involved here, and how do you help people learn self? In other words, it's causing me to shake. It's causing me not to. Therefore, I'm leaving a presentation wishing I had said it. Where if I would have been in the state that I'm wishing after. How do you help people become more self-aware of balance, and then how to kind of get it back in the moment when you're sitting belly to belly with in the moment on the sports field? If you a shot, you know, those types of things. What do you tell folks?
Well, it's a really interesting combination, because your best a series of questionnaires, and one of them is mindfulness. So we have asked them in, and it's self-awareness. You know, it's awareness without judgment. we get some of them score kind of low because they're not, you can't do anything about it. So that's what's increase the awareness. And we can just give them checklists, that they can go through and, how is your body feeling? We can do that to help teach them. But the interesting one is I get a lot of high level performers, any arena, and they are very mindful awareness, but they're being aware of the wrong, what you just mentioned. They're highly aware of all, and what do those people think? What if I can't answer them? So they have high awareness. So the thing is, you have X amount of attentional capacity. You either fill it with what you want or all this in, right? So you have that. I'm aware of where I'm at now and what's going on, and this is where I'm going. So I can selectively put in what I want, and then what we don't want, spending your time managing all these those people that are watching. You're managing all this stuff, and then task at hand, reach, make the sale, get the ball in the hole. So if we can, because of your awareness, to where you want to go, you can perform.
It's so fascinating, guys. If you're hearing that, and this is the way that I distill it, that I want you guys to understand. You get to choose what you put that 5% spotlight on. And since you should choose to focus on all of the good that can come from what's about to happening now, and ignore or things that you can't control or the negatives. So in a golf context, you guys, by the way, golf is the analogy to play golf, and you're hearing these golf analogies, just hang tight, right? One thing I'll in a tournament, and there's a hole that's got water all the way down, to either focus on where I want the ball to go and not in the water, or I could tell myself, don't hit it in the water. Well, all I'm thinking about is hitting, and magically something negative is going to happen. You're going to speak it in. You've got to decide, am I going to focus on the bad results, or I'm going to focus on come. So, Doc, one of the things that it would be akin to a junior golfer that's starting tournament golf for the first time. Agents and business owners, they're getting out there in a sales or entrepreneurial journey as newbies, right? And all the time is they don't have the confidence in themselves, and therefore they perform less than what they're capable of. They believe, I'm not as experienced as the other agent. I don't know what to say. I'm not as good. I haven't played in as many events, on and on and on, And so what we're talking about here is extremely helpful. And I hope everybody understands that you're good enough to perform at your best. So stop telling yourself a negative story. Start telling yourself the. But the other piece is, we talked about the coach. What about the locker room? We're talking about all these things that you can focus on, but who am I allowing in the locker room? What are they saying? And how much do I not have over that? In other words, you can't choose who you're paired with, but you can certainly choose who you break bread with and spend. What are the of effect on your self-esteem and belief? What's your belief on the locker room and your surroundings and the people you're with?
You made another good point, Chris. The points you were making about what's going on around you. We're not denying that they're real at all, but they're not facts that are going to serve you and help you with. We only care what you put in your head, in your little tiny 5% that's going to help you with this next performance. Okay. there. It doesn't care the difference between what's real and imagined. So you can put in there, you know, in terms of what you out of one of those lockers, something that always makes you feel positive,
Mhm.
and it will make a difference. Or you can something that, you know, is upsetting to you and it serves you well. So you mentioned the word confidence, and I is for them is confidence a thought or
Hmm.
what do you think?
Yeah, wow. Well, I suppose I still might get this wrong, but I would say,
You know, one of the first program, actually the first program we asked was to real estate agents. Was a
love it.
big issue. Yeah. And you are correct, it's a feel. But on a day you're confident, you gotta think it. Up and you that tournament or that so it comes so if you don't feel it today, you must think into the little 5 to help you feel confident, or skip the confidence and just get the ball in the hole, or the, you know, the presentation presented the way you'd like,
Yes.
and you can do that.
Yeah, that's such a great point. To me, it's the word choice. Like all of this is a choice. You get to control. And far too many people, it's golfers, just humans, they decide that other people get to choose for them, either consciously or subconsciously, by these beliefs. Just so that Dr. Debbie is one of my coaches. And one of the things that I talk to her about, for instance, is that there's certain things on the golf course that I find myself the awareness stage. I know it's wrong. I shouldn't be doing the management aspect of preventing it, because if I'm aware of it now, I was in the I wasn't aware of it stage. You know, what are the exercises, folks, when they go to better your best? There's so many that I think of, but one is create this environment, and I powerful both subconsciously and consciously. I don't even think people realize what a weapon in a good way. Everything. And one of the exercises you take us through is to literally design the personalities that when we're playing a competitive round of golf, what aspects comes out when you're feeling those. I have here, by the way, size, because I'd never even thought about it, but putting a name to the feeling. So one was the incredible, when I'm feeling strong, intense, and like I'm going to do this, and then the incredible sulk, which was the opposite side. Do that exercise. But what I'm curious about is it's part in identifying what your best character traits are that help you perform. How powerful is the naming, is the titling? But that's what I'm really curious about. You know, putting a title or a name on your best.
Well, it is very important.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it.
Yeah. You in the research based on your roles in life, husband, wife, child, you know, profession, the different things you do, but in pull up 4 to 6 that show up on the golf course, and some do not.
Mm-hmm.
When you label them, everything in the brain, if we can, becomes stimulus, and you get in this case emotion out of it, you know. So as soon as you label that person, everything inside associated with that differently. And what fascinated me the first time we started researching this is the brain patterns are so different. You know, play golf, it's not, you're going to have a performer, but your performer is not going to be, and sometimes you need your Hulk guy out. You need your calm person out, you know, and so you'll pull one is going to be the best shot. And it changes everything in your system, all emotions, and it gives you the edge.
So, well, fascinating. So the idea that, you know, anybody listening, you've got these different personalities and different feelings, right? It's a Dr. Debbie. You're naming these, like I have the other one, which is my best fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Because I've been in front of an audience. I've got that fighter pilot strut. Like I just walk, know that I'm in control. I know this topic, you know, the kind of person, that's my best personality. But I have the other people too, the nervous Nelly,
right,
the non-believer. But what you're talking about is being able to bring up another mini-me, and what it does to the brain.
Yeah, because they're all part of us, and they're well. I have never had a performer that can't just get these people out in no time. They're just a different side, and they are all us, but we get a choice about it. That's what's valuable, is you don't have who showed up. And I mean, before your meeting or your presentation, like you're saying, you certainly want to do their job at it.
No question. So part of it is being aware that you have this performer and being,
Yes.
and then I guess a lot of this is aware of it and then being able to switch it. So
Right.
I think one of the, talking about performance here, by the way, audience, what we're talking about is better your best, which I am on the journey. I just met Dr. Debbie, let's see, it's July, November. And, you know, for me, year layoff because I had major knee surgery. Golf, it was the comeback and how important the neck up was, that I was going to get the most mentally out of everything. And so there's a coachable moment here that we were chatting, we got started, and I want to bring that up for our audience because I want to hear, well, I selfishly want to get coached, but I want to hear every things up, but the awareness is so important. So this state amateur championship, it's a golf tournament in Louisiana. It's the top amateur, you know, the winners of these, the top get invited to all of the bigger steps. So I was able to make the cut. So out of 144 players, top 60 in that part. Well, then the top 40 in ties get it's really important so that you don't have to go trudge another round, another day off work for me. And I've had this issue that I've talked to Dr. Debbie about, where as a businessman, a little frustrated, rushed, maybe want to just get on with the next. Now and then I'll step in on the putting green and maybe hit a putt that I assume I'm going to make. I'll actually miss one that's almost unmissable because that stroke, that moment is seriously, I know it's wrong. My intuition, my son, don't do this while I'm doing it. Yeah. And I still do it. It's the lesson for me last week, that one stroke that I did that and exempt next year, and now I'm not exempt. Go trudge somewhere and qualify, another day off work, and all of these. I was making the mistake while I was making it, and I still did. Dr. Debbie, I'm aware of it. I know I did it. What should I do? What is my strategy here?
Yeah. You know, it's such a common pattern, Chris, that we get ahead of ourselves. And I watch it all the time with other performers as well. We're just, the gap is a little too big. We're ahead of ourselves again. We're not totally in it all the way. And so that's what happens when you miss that putt. But saying is a really important one. It's your team telling you we're not ready, and it says hit it anyway. Fine, you're going to take too much time. What are you doing? And we got to go back and learn to listen to that subconscious. Play as you go through the day. Whatever something tells you to do, just go do it, whether logic conforms or not. So logical, and we're taught that as we get older. Don't go with our intuition and our sense about it. So important, but it'll save so many strokes on the golf course. It'll create such a in terms of, being in there, because they have access to 95%. We ought to listen to them.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think by that, right, where you had a feeling, good or bad, and and connect to that as you took an action based on something good happened, or you avoided something bad because you just had a feeling something bad was going to happen. That's your intuition talking. That's your something else, the brain science behind that. There's something. And when you ignore that, it's. But also, and I'm curious about this, how much ignoring your intuition leads to unhappiness?
Oh, that's one. Yes, I don't have data on that one, Chris, but I think it's like you're only living in your brain, the logical and analytical side of your brain, and
sure.
Imaginative creativity, I would call probably happy. The other side of your brain, so we can have say in that. We can adjust. What percent of the true do you really listen to the intuition? It's usually that comes in your head. The easy example is when you're in school and you go to pick answer B, and then you sit and think about it and change to wrong answer D. How many 40 years that I always wanted to count up how many times, but it's astronomical that you changed to the wrong one.
Right here, hold on. I have talked about this for years. Right here, I tell folks that because we have a big exam prep, part of our business is preparing folks for these license exams, and I've always told them the only thing that's going to happen if you go back and change it is you're likely going to change from the right answer to the wrong answer, because somewhere, now I didn't know the science, but somewhere in was the correct one, and you have somehow let that 5%, the knowledge, the study, to the wrong answer, so through your science. That's amazing.
I always wanted to just add them all when I correct exams.
Yeah.
And you might change it to the right one % of the time, probably, and the rest of it, is you're changing it to the wrong answer. But
wow.
I to be able to live more intuitively, that's intuition. In my world, intuition is never wrong. You've just got to sort out these voices in your head.
Yeah, and there's a lot of work. A lot of work for all of us.
Yeah, but that brain is just a muscle, Chris. It's a muscle in your arm. You can train it. It's very trainable.
I want everybody to hear that again.
Your brain is a muscle. It's not a muscle in your arm. So, we can train. You use practice and you do certain skills and different patterns. The brain works in patterns. You can train different patterns. Being aware of what pattern I'm falling into, and watch your patterns. And then it's not serving you, you have the ability to require focus of attention to do it. And then pretty soon, the new pattern overrides the old pattern and you're good to go.
Absolutely. Pattern interrupt. I talk about that. You can identify that you've got a pattern that's not serving you, whether it's physical feat, whether it's athletics. Well, let's interrupt that. Students that fail the exam, the statistics are really fascinating thing that typically anybody that they're going to pass it the second time. If not, it's a downward spiral. The statistics they become the 5, 6, 8 time test. The discussions I've had so many times preparing for the test. And what's amazing is they'll keep doing whatever they're doing, which is the same thing again and again and again, and they're getting the same result.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Pattern interrupt is like, well, why don't we try a different method of studying? Do something else because what you're doing isn't working. And do that with medium performers, people that want to be high performers. It's the same thing, right? I mean, you've got to analyze 360. How are they thinking? Practice is a big one. I do want to time. So if you're talking to golfers, you obviously talk about practice and practicing a certain way. When I talk to real estate agents, to use me as an example, a speech or teach a class is not the first time I've talked to my dog. I've done it in the mirror. I've done it on this camera and practiced it. So when the time is right, I'm ready to go. So for you, how much do you talk about? What do you tell folks there?
So you're doing another good, upping the importance of doing it correct. You first say it to yourself. Dog, oh, that's more important. Then I say it in front of the mirror. In the camera, element is equally important. So we compartmentalize the different parts. You're talking about just giving a talk, but you know, there's work on how you look in front of the audience. You work, you know, your gestures, pieces separately, and you can't expect the outcome, the ultimate score, to be ideal when you're working on one part. That together, like you're suggesting, and have it be. And then you've got to up the importance. You got to put in there. You put an audience in there. You know, those types of things, and importance goes up. And when you got more confidence going into that presentation or tournament than you're training it.
Absolutely. I think that's one thing that I've always wanted to make sure that people understand. Confidence oftentimes comes as the result of practice. The reason that you're nervous is because your intuition is telling you you're ready. And I can tell you in golf tournaments, where I am the amateur, I'm the person that does. That's not exactly my arena, so to speak, that people would know me for a tournament when I'm not ready. No, I didn't practice enough. I didn't put in the effort. I haven't put in the preparation. Or I'm nervous because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, which means it's a big enough moment, enough tournament. I've played myself into contention, and I earned. I haven't found any other than those two.
Right.
So for real estate agents, anybody out there, business performers, nerves, practice, prepare, do the work. Be nervous about, because
confidence is a state of I know, and it's you just grab onto what you know, which preparation you're talking about, And even if you're not prepared, and you
Uh-huh.
can go in there and perform. Yeah. The other side of it is what might happen. And that
Right.
side can be pretty brutal. So you got what to what I know.
All right, we've got to squeeze that in because you know what? I realize that something that personally a lot of folks struggle with, especially high performance, best of the best, is expectations.
Oh, that's correct.
Uh, you go into a golf tournament or a speech, or I go into a business presentation, and I know absolutely amazing. I've been playing well, I've been practicing well, and I've got these expectations, which can lead to disappointment.
That's right. Language, expectation, have to, need to, should. Okay, when you
Yes.
hear those in your head, you're in the wrong place. Those up here, go and take them out and throw them in the trash can. Just keep throwing them. They won't serve you. What goals? You can go to what you want today. Any of those things will serve you, but not expectations. And I believe expectations always come from the outside world, because I don't think it's from the inside world.
That's interesting. Expectations are the thief of joy. I don't know where the thief of joy.
I've heard that as well, and I think it's so true.
That's interesting, right. Because
take them and throw them. Now, go. What would you like to do?
Yeah.
What shot would you to hit?
Absolutely.
Energy.
It's a totally different energy. Being ready to accept the result, thing that I can to make this one a positive one, and knowing that I put in the work, I gave it my all. I didn't get this listing this golf tournament that time, but I didn't leave anything on the table.
What more can you do?
Right.
That's right.
Oh, that's fascinating. Well, Dr. Debbie, I think we're about out of time. I've got to go run over here. I've got a class full of exam prep students, believe it or not. Oh. And let them listen to that part, because it probably would have been very, very fruitful for them. I get over there. Tell me how often you guys do that, and where our audience can find more information about that if they're interested in going through the experience, which I can tell you,
Thank you, Chris. We so enjoy it. It's cross-mental training. It'll be a little different. You come and you shoot arrows with the horses, and you do bowling, and you do a lot of different things, but it all relates back to your performance of choice. And we have a website called, and we do the seminars. Probably our goal is about every other month to, we have level 2 accordingly. So we'll have a level, at least one fall, and level 1 as well. And you can come 2 days, level 1 if you'd like, and then level 2 is really a day if people can, have to be the weekend. And then there is another aspect, Chris, you know, if you have a group of people that are interested, and we put a lot of it, we call it to you, all the activities except the horse, but but everything we could do, and then you can do it at your own pace.
Oh, that's really fantastic. And it's gonna listen, I love what you guys are doing, because I know it's interesting to you, but I also know it comes from a really, really good place, because you guys are a lot of people. I've seen you working with everything from special needs kids to top college golfers to business guys with a dream like me, and everything in between. While, and I appreciate everything, enthusiasm for it. It's very exciting, like you out there in the world doing the good work.
Oh, thanks, Chris. And thank you for allowing us to get.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming back on. We're going to have to try to make a Dr. Debbie series here, it seems like, because I have 4,000 questions I would love to get to for enough time with you. It's just incredible. But I really want to thank you for coming on the show. And you guys, betteryourbest.net, right? Guys, go check out the site. Level 1. Look into the in a bucket, y'all are calling it. I haven't seen this.
Yes.
I'm gonna go. I'm
It's
gonna
on
link.
there.
I'm gonna link wherever you're listening to this. You will find a link to her books and her site if you want to go check that out. At minimum, I strongly suggest you read her read, so to speak, but they are powerful. Every page has just a quick, important thing, and it helps you put that initial formula together really quick. And it really jives with a lot of things that you hear me talk about all the time. Some of it, as we're going along, I'm learning like Dr. Debbie, because it's just, she's the scientist. I'm just the doer. And so, listen, I appreciate you so much. And this time I'm looking all good. The video is great. So, guys, I'm going to send you all the links and make sure that you get to check this out. Time and keep up the good work, and we'll check in soon. Got the mid-am coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'll let you know how that one goes, because that's the big one for us working folks. I will. I'm going to call you
Thanks,
probably
Chris.
before and after. Thank you, Doc.
That'd be great.